friends. Hello, hi, how are you? I hope you guys are having an amazing day today. Hello. So today's video is we're gonna be talking about some like drama stuff again. I always like to preface these videos by saying I know there's so much other stuff going on in the world right now that is like a bajillion times more important than what we're going to be talking about today. However, I do think there's kind of a sense of escapism that YouTube drama can bring, and I also feel like we also still have to talk about other things, but I am in no way trying to say that this is the most important thing going on in the world, because obviously it's absolutely not, and this is at the end of the day just a commentary video, just trying to chat about something that I see. So yeah, I do want to preface it with that because it does feel kind of weird to talk about stuff like this right now, but I also know that you guys still like these videos, so we're gonna be talking about it. So today we are going to be talking about Tana Mongeau. I want to talk about her MTV reality show, kind of her response to that and everything going on with it. If you want a really in-depth look at her reality TV show episode by episode and you're really interested in that but you don't want to watch the whole thing, I would highly recommend my friend Luke Alexander. He does videos basically after every single episode breaking them down, talking about them, and I think he does a really fantastic job of commentating on them, so I would highly recommend you go check out his channel if you want like a breakdown of everything, because I'm going to be kind of just doing like an overview. So if you want some background on this, I do have a video from a couple of weeks ago, but basically Tana Mongeau got in some heat because on her MTV reality show, which is only on YouTube, so it's kind of like a YouTube reality TV show, she basically implied that having asthma was not a big deal, was pretty rude according to the film to her doctors and nurses, and just overall like it was a really bad look. She was basically just saying like she doesn't care that she has asthma's not a big deal, and a lot of people found that really insulting, obviously, because it's something that can kill people and is really dangerous. Kind of felt like in the episode that she was treating going to the doctor as this really traumatizing experience, when in reality we've seen her go to doctors, we've seen her go to plastic surgeons without any issues, so a lot of people were kind of thinking she was just dramatizing it for the show. So fast forward to now, another episode came out where it kind of showed her friend Trevor, who's another YouTuber. His name's Trevor Moran. I actually really like Trevor. Trevor recently got sober. He's not drinking anymore. He went to rehab. I believe that was his second time going to rehab, and he's like really trying to stay sober. I think that's amazing. I got sober at a really young age. It's really, really hard, and I commend anybody who's trying to do it and making the effort, because it's tough. It's really hard, especially when you're that young and you're kind of surrounded by a culture of people who are also going out and drinking still. It's tough. So I really just want to say that first and foremost. Like, I know Trevor's never going to watch this video, but I really, really commend him for doing that. Tana faced a lot of criticism in that episode because she and Trevor and all of their other friends went out and they all got really drunk and had like a girls' night, and Trevor basically got really bad anxiety and just was like, I want to drink but I don't want to, so I'm gonna leave. And Tana got a lot of, you know, flack for how she kind of handled the situation, how it appeared that she didn't really support him, wasn't really there for him, and all of that. So after that came out, Tana made a response video to everything that had been going on with the MTV show. And basically the video is like an hour and 15 minutes long. The gist of the video was that her relationship with Jake Paul, basically that when that relationship ended, it caused a lot of stress for her, made her very anxious, very depressed. And then she also had some situations going on with her family behind the scenes where she had a really bad fight with her mom, and that made her even more depressed and made her kind of re-traumatized from her childhood. And then she talked about how all of this happened right before season 2 of MTV started filming. And so during the filming, she was at like the worst point in her life, and she was just feeling really horrible and so depressed, and how she was struggling with Xanax addiction. She was just really, really struggling. And that was kind of the whole gist of the video. And then it kind of ended on a note of, after a couple of months, she's doing much better. Her relationships are better. She's feeling a lot healthier. She's taking her health a lot more seriously, because that was a big concern, was people felt like she wasn't taking care of her health. So she's taking her health a lot more seriously. She's not smoking as much. She's eating better, and that she's just happier in general. And then she also went on to talk about the fact that she is opening a charity where she is going to be helping people affected by COVID-19. And that was kind of the gist of the video. Obviously, if you want everything super in detail, you'd have to watch that video, but I think that was a pretty good overview. The thing about this video is that a lot of people were obviously very sympathetic to what Tana was saying. I was pretty sympathetic to what Tana was saying, because I think if you've ever struggled with anxiety, depression, addiction, the things that she was talking about, I think a lot of people can relate to. I think a lot of people can relate to these feelings. Where I took issue was not with what she was saying about how she was depressed and how, you know, she needed a break and everything. Where I took issue was her saying that the things that happened on the MTV show were incredibly edited and not representative of who she is as a person. I believe that those clips don't represent who she is now, that she's kind of on the other side of going through a really depressive or anxious episode. I understand that. Like, I can understand how it doesn't represent who she is now. But I think a big part of having depression, having anxiety, and I know because I go through the same thing, a big part of it is having to own up to the kind of crappy things that you sometimes do, even though it's a result of your depression or anxiety. And what her video showed to me was that she still lacked that kind of basic understanding of owning up to things even if you were going through something that made you do those things. I hope that makes sense, because I feel like the video was very much her blaming MTV for everything and her blaming MTV for how she's coming across, whereas I think I would have respected her more if she was just honest and was like, listen, my depression made me a shitty person. That's not an excuse, but that's what happened and I'm sorry. I feel like she claims that she's very authentic and real, but still the blame was placed on someone other than her for everything that happened. And all of the comments weren't really about her. They were about how crappy MTV was for twisting everything that she did. And to me, that just seems like a deflection because she knows that people are mad at her because she said having asthma wasn't a big deal and was rude to a doctor. When in reality, those clips existed because she said it. And I think she's just grotesquely misrepresenting what happened with this MTV show and the timeline of everything too. A lot of the like clips where they're being interviewed in like the little chair and it's like their reflection interviews or whatever. In a lot of those interviews, her hair is dyed a different color and cut a different color, which we know that she did that like a month ago. So a lot of those interviews were filmed after she claims that she got out of this hole that she was in this anxiety and depression. All of these interviews where she's still saying really mean stuff about her manager, about her life, about her health. All of these interviews where she's saying all this stuff, that was still a month ago. Like, she claims that she wasn't still going through stuff like that. She claims that everything has been a lot better based on her own timeline. This isn't me trying to be like, gotcha, you're lying. But like, if you're gonna come out with this big video and blame MTV for everything, there has to be evidence to show that, and there's just not. And that brings me to this newest episode. Her latest episode came out for her MTV show where and here's where I think that the video that she posted blaming MTV for editing her, this is where I think it's really was a strategic and convenient move for her to do that. Because in the latest episode, which also happens to be the last episode, she goes to Vegas with her friend Amari. The night before, a man comes who's like the owner of the Airbnb they're staying at, and he pulls a gun on them. You know, they're all upset, and Tana's really upset and like totally understand that, right? But she went to Vegas for the sole purpose of going with her friend for the surgery that he was getting. He's getting like his nose fixed. He's getting like a nose job. So she's going to Vegas specifically to take care of her friend. Tells her friend's mom, don't take the day off of work. I'm gonna take care of him. All of these things, right? And also on this day that her friend's getting the surgery, she's launching a perfume, it was a huge fight with her manager that she could not possibly launch the perfume on that day because she was gonna be taking care of her friend who was having surgery, but then they decided to still do it anyway. So the surgery time comes, he has to be there early in the morning, he wakes up, she's not there. She says she's gonna meet him at the surgery place. He gets out of surgery, she's still not there. She won't answer any of his calls, she's not there. Flash forward to her manager trying to get a hold of her because her perfume is supposed to launch. She's not answering any of her calls, she's not there, whatever. Not only her best friend, who was counting on her to come take care of him after the surgery, she also has her manager sitting there trying to get a hold of her so they can launch this product that they've been working on for over a year apparently, and all of her investors in this project just sitting there waiting for her. And so then finally at 5 p.m. we see that her manager gets a call from her. And instead of and this is where I have to say, like, if you do go through things with mental health, it's totally understandable and valid. Those are valid feelings. She basically said that she was having a lot of PTSD because of the incident with the gun, and she was basically saying that she just was having nightmares all day, and she was sleeping and she couldn't get out of her sleep because she was going through a PTSD attack. And honestly, like, that's valid. Like, if that's really what she was going through, her best friend did say he thought that was bullshit, but maybe he doesn't get it, and maybe that's what she's actually going through. If that's what you're going through, though, you still have to be held accountable for bailing on everyone. You can't just, the way that she talked to him on the phone after that situation happened was so crazy to me, because he answers the phone and he's like, "Where have you been?" And instead of apologizing and explaining the situation and saying, "I know I up, I'm sorry, I was just going through some," which is literally all you really have to say in these situations. Instead of that, she gave him attitude. She got angry with him. There was zero apology. She wasn't sorry to her fans, who she had told she was launching something that day, who had been waiting for her. Because she's like, and her excuse for that was, "My real fans wouldn't want me to launch something when I'm depressed and sad," which is just annoying. And then it basically was like giving her manager shit and saying that he was a horrible person for trying to push her to launch on this day anyway, because he knew that she had to be with Amari. And then the manager's like, "You weren't even with him," and she has nothing to say to that. And it's just such a weird conversation to have. And then she goes to like apologize to her best friend who had the surgery. He's got this like nose strip on. He's obviously pissed off, and she's like confused as to why he's angry at her. When she's like, "I didn't think you actually wanted me to come." That's what she said. She tries to like gaslight the situation. She's like, "You told me that you didn't want me to come." And he's like, "No, that's not true. I did tell you." I think what's so telling to me throughout both of those conversations is the amount of times both of those people in her life say to her, "You're lying." Blatantly, flat out tell her that she is lying to them, because I feel like that's a common theme with her. And I feel like a lot of people think that because she doesn't do the crazy story times anymore, that she's not like lying about things. But I think it's becoming more and more apparent that she does lie about a lot of things to make things more convenient for her, which then is telling to me of her hour and 15-minute long video where she puts the blame on everybody but herself for the way that she acted. So basically, her friend ends up forgiving her. He seems still pretty pissed, and honestly, I don't blame him. I would also be pretty pissed, especially if somebody came in and gave that kind of apology after doing something like that. They literally had to have their friend who was in California drive down to Las Vegas to take care of him. It was Trevor, because they couldn't just count on Tana to take care of her friend. And I think the reality is this. I do believe that there were definitely parts of this MTV show series that were probably edited. But my whole thing is like, why would MTV purposefully edit the person who's the main character of the show to look this shitty? Why would they do that? What is their motivation to making her look as as possible? The show's named after her. She's the main character. They want her to be likable and redeemable because she's the main character, and they want people to come back and watch her. If they're editing her to look this bad, it's because she gave them the footage in the first place. And I think probably the part where she talked about in her video where she was like, Jordan and I would have a 10-minute fight and they would cut that down to a 2-minute fight, but in reality we weren't actually fighting for that long. It's like, yeah, that's probably true. They probably did have like a 10-minute heated discussion, and MTV turned that into an over dramatized fight. But that doesn't mean the fight didn't still happen. It just happened over the span of a couple of hours. I think at the end of the day, Tana made her big video, the hour and 15-minute long one, because she said she wanted to be honest and authentic with her subscribers and her fans, and she felt like she owed you guys that, and she felt like she wants to be an advocate for mental health, and she wants to be this like role model for mental health, but she also talks about how she doesn't want to be a role model. And my whole thing about Tana is like, I just feel like she wants the life of what being a role model would bring her, which is the money, the nice clothes, you know, being able to make herself look the way she wants to look, like having all of these things, like this big house. Like, she wants all of that. She wants the support from her fans that a typical role model, somebody people look up to, would get. She wants all of that. She wants people to buy her perfume. She wants people to buy her merch. She wants that, but she doesn't want the responsibility that comes along with actually being a role model, being a person in the public eye, taking accountability for things when you screw up. And I don't think this is just a Tana problem. I think this is a lot of influencers. They want the fame and the fortune and everything, but they don't want people to be critical of them, and they don't want to apologize when they do things that are messed up. And it does seem, based on her past couple of videos, that she is doing better, but there's still all of these inconsistencies. Because then right after her video where she talked about struggling with addictive tendencies, right after that video, she posted a video where she was stuck on a tour bus with her friend Maud's son for 5 days, and she was up the entire time. And this was allegedly right after she had been gone through this change where she was like not smoking as much weed, trying to better herself physically and emotionally, and she's smoking weed in the entire video. And she'll post videos and say that she's doing one thing because I think she thinks it's going to appease people and make them not so angry at her, but then she uploads another video doing the exact opposite. I think the only reason she said that she stopped smoking weed was because she wanted to appease people who were mad at her for not caring about her health and continuing to smoke when her lungs were so messed up. That was the literal only reason she said that, because she hasn't stopped. And honestly, it's like, if you still want to smoke, it's your freaking life. Like, go for it. But don't lie to people just to continue to appease them and manipulate them into following you and respecting you and not having any issues with you. She seems to be one of those people who just has an answer for everything, has a solution for everything, it's such a consistent pattern with her where it's everyone's fault but hers that these things are happening to her. And at a certain point in life, if this many mistakes happen, if this many things happen, I think she would get so much farther and would have so much more respect from people if she just took accountability for this stuff. If she didn't blame everyone under the sun other than herself, I think she would have so many more fans. And I think it sends a really message to all the young kids that follow her saying, hey, if you screw up, low-key, just don't take accountability for it. Just blame other people, because that's what's going to help you out. That's what's going to get people to like you more. I just kind of want to know your guys' opinion on this whole thing. I know a lot of you don't even really care about Tana Mongeau, but like, I just think she's such an interesting case, because a part of me does feel bad for her, because I do believe that she struggles with mental health issues. I wholeheartedly believe her when she says that. But the other part of me is like, but you can't just blame everything in your life on that. That's not a healthy way to be, and it's also not healthy to project that onto your audience. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. That was a lot. I just spewed for like a while, but let me know what you guys think. I love you guys so much. If you like this video, please like and subscribe, or just subscribe, or do neither. Honestly, just so happy you're watching me. Thank you so much for being here. My merch, my social media, and everything I am wearing on my face will be linked down below, along with a link to register to vote. That's right. You can click on that link. You can register to vote, and you can be part of your democracy. It's like a super fun thing that I hear people are doing. And if you're not from the United States and that link does not apply to you, please make sure you stay informed what's going on in your part of the world. Use your voice in a positive way if you can, because the world absolutely needs more of that. And stay 6 feet apart, wash your hands, social distance if you can, and take care of each other, because we also need more of that in the world. Let me know what you guys think about this down below. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!